And welcome to the kitchen. We are going to make this week's drink for the nun, and today we are going to be making the blood of Jesus Christ. I'm kind of excited about this drink. It's really easy. Okay, so first things first is we're going to take our Boston shaker and we're going to add 1 shot of Buffalo Trace or a whiskey to your choice. And then we're going to add 1 shot of amaretto. And then last but not least, we're going to add some cranberry juice. Another ounce of that one. Add some ice to the Boston shaker. Shake it up. And there you have it, the blood of Jesus Christ.
I had a serious...
What did you see? Look.
Hello?
Well, we just got out of The Nun, and that's a really cool looking movie, and it's a movie that I'm still conflicted on about how much I actually like it.
I agree, yeah. Cinematically, it was really, really well done. The shots in it and the special effects and all of that stuff was I was surprised at how much I was like, huh, okay.
Yeah.
That was good.
It was a movie that mostly used practical effects, and whenever it went to CGI, a lot of it was kind of in the dark, so you didn't see the weird lines. There were a few points where you could tell, like, the little boy with a snake coming out of his mouth was a little more CGI, but even then it wasn't that distracting. Valak with her giant, I'm actually not sure if Valak has, like, a gender. Like, whenever they're doing their thing, it's just, like... It's really cool, and it's on camera, and it's terrifying, and it's practical, and then sometimes the mouth goes open a little bit too wide.
Yeah, and you're like,
Yeah, but, like, the cool thing is it looked like they filmed on location at a castle or a monastery or something like that. I don't know the exact specifics of it, but the places that they got to do this filming, it's set in 1952 Romania, by the way, and I think that added a lot to this. It gave it just a really cool setting, something you don't see every day. Yeah, you see a lot of like vampire stuff out there from Romania, from Transylvania, from all this other stuff in castles, but to actually have the stone things and have it look like a Dark Souls level, it really added a lot for me.
yeah, the texture of the movie was really well done with the stones and everything.
Yeah, I didn't even mind the actors either. Like,
No.
I really like Teresa Farmiga, however you say her name. Like, she's always been very good, and she was playing the nun in white in the commercials in this one, and I thought she did an excellent job in her role.
Yeah.
The priest, like 90% of the time, he was good enough, and then there were a couple lines that felt so cheesy, but I don't know how much that's on him.
Well, I was trying to think about if they were trying to intentionally do the cheesy, and I was thinking about the production's other movies. They have a few cheesy moments in The Conjuring.
They do.
They have a few cheesy moments.
They have Will Arnett, like, I think it's Will Arnett, singing, like, Blue Moon and stuff like that.
Yeah,
just all sorts of stuff that's a little cheesy, but
and I think that's what they were going for, but I think that they kind of missed the mark on this one. The gentleman who was supposed to be kind of the comedic relief wasn't initially the comedic relief the entire movie. So when he was saying these really cheesy one-liners, you're like,
I feel like they should have
fit.
improv some different one-liners in there, because you need a little bit of levity in horror movies to be effective, to kind of like break the tension. This movie's kind of unrelenting with the tension as well.
Yes.
Like, this is a movie that does not let you have much time for error. Like, every time you think, okay, we're done with the scene, it's going to be a little bit, you're going to get some exposition, you're going to figure out more, it ends up being like more just horrible things happening, more creepiness, more violence on screen.
Yeah, exactly.
The major question that we were going to ask, is this movie entertaining? And
well, I had 3 responses when I was trying to figure out after watching this movie. 1, was it scary? We've kind of talked about that. It's not so much scary as it is creepy.
Yeah.
2, was it entertaining? And 3, did I like it? Number 2, entertaining, I think it was entertaining.
Yeah, it was very much so entertaining. It lacked kind of what like Insidious and some of these other ones had, where the supporting cast was really funny, like a few actual laugh out loud moments. It lacked some of the real shocks that could get like a shriek out of somebody. There weren't many people in the theater. We went like early on a Thursday, so it's not exactly like going to be prime time for horror movies. But there weren't other people to kind of judge that. A lot of times I judge a horror movie by the unsolicited response. People laughing, people crying, people yelling out, people doing all that sort of stuff. We didn't really have any of those moments other than some jump scares that got us both a little bit.
Yeah, I jumped. I will admit it. Yeah. I jumped. But jump scares get me very easily.
Yeah.
Kind of cheap.
And like there was one really funny moment I thought where like the dude's trapped, Frenchie is trapped in a graveyard after like one of the nuns goes after him, and he just grabs an entire like cross out of the ground, like something that's probably like 4 foot tall. Yep. And he's like I'm taking this, and just leaves.
And I actually thought that was probably the funniest like tried to be cheesy moment of the because it was so genuine. Yeah. I would definitely do that, but it's
if I were
comedic.
him, I would have straight up sat in that graveyard until dawn and then done it.
Yeah. And then, did I like it? I liked it as much as I can like anything. I'm pretty easygoing when it comes to stuff. If something entertains me, I typically like it. Would I watch it again? Probably not. I'm not going to buy it or anything like that.
It's like you have so many other options whenever it's late night on Netflix. It's like it would take something like that where somebody's like, oh, I always wanted to see that, and be like, I guess.
Yeah.
It's like
Netflix, definitely I'd watch it.
So it's not a movie you want to see like twice in theaters or anything like that. It was good enough. I don't regret going to it at all.
Nope.
Like I thought that was fun. I thought it was good enough, especially for an offshoot for this little like universe that they're trying to build. We've got 4 movies that I know of in here. There might be a 5th one, something like that, for Conjuring, Conjuring 2, Annabelle, and The Nun.
The Nun. Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure they're going to be building more in this because it's obviously a very profitable thing. Mm-hmm. But it's hard to tell exactly how I feel overall about this series. I thought both of the Conjuring movies were very quality, even though I know that the people that are perpetrating them are complete frauds, whatever. Like,
I think that's a button that we should get back to later.
There are better movies to spend your Friday night cash on. Like there's a lot of good places like this Gorehounds that'll actually have all the DVDs you could need over something like The Nun. It is popcorn horror fun.
Yeah.
Valak was the creepiest part of The Conjuring 2, so they decided they were going to full on expand that story. I don't know if this was set in motion before that particular one or not, but I know that it was popular enough that they actually got this film made. It was on a decent budget, so nothing felt cheap about it. Nothing felt wrong with it.
I have to go back with the fact that it just looked cinematically, it looked very good.
Yeah, and there were even some writing elements that I really liked. Like, I spotted in the early part of the film that the crossword puzzle was dropping hints about things that were going to be happening later in the movie.
Can you elaborate on that real quick? Because I missed that when you were kind of telling me in the theater.
Like, whenever you saw him, like, they were in the back of the wagon and they were solving one of the puzzles, and it said they asked like what is a postman's duty or something like that, and it was deliveries, and then like deliveries ended up being like the room where they found the nun, like all this other stuff. It's written on the wall. Then immediately whenever he puts down the crossword puzzle on another thing, the word that's most in focus on there is reflections. And in the very next scene, you've got Teresa Farmiga's character like walking in front of a mirror, and that's the only time that you can actually see the nun walking behind her.
Oh.
So I think that there might have been more clues in there, but it was so fast on the screen that I wasn't able to pick up all the details. But there was at least 2 instances where the writers and the cinematographers snuck in just a little visual element that you could pick up from the crossword puzzle and go back to it later. And I like whenever you actually have things that are established like that. Mm-hmm. It's a clever little writing trick. It's nothing like spectacular. It's not like Interstellar level stuff, but it is fun whenever you see those little things come up and slight hints for what's coming up further. So there are moments with tight writing, and then there are moments with crappy dialogue. Mm-hmm. And I just felt like some of the dialogue got a little bit stiff. Like, it's somebody who's not well versed in Catholicism writing what they think a priest or a Catholic would say, is what it felt like at certain times.
Yeah.
And, like, this movie is basically just a grab bag of everything Catholic. Like, all the different tropes that you can come up with are going to be in here. And I've got no problem with that.
There was no ruler lashings, though.
That's true.
They missed that,
well,
which I know is
she
nightmare.
got lashed at the end, but it wasn't rulers.
Ruler.
Yeah, you've got so many nuns. How did nobody get beat across the hands with a ruler?
Their knuckles. Yeah, there was none of that. And they did tie a little bow on the end, which was nice to connect it to the other movies, which was kind of interesting.
Yeah, like
that was nice.
It was going back to the presentation that he gave in The Conjuring 2 about possession.
I think it was the first one.
Oh, was it the first one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen both, so I'd have to go back and look. I just wonder if they redid the screen to make him the actor, or if he actually was in that from back before.
I don't think it was the actor, but I think it was the name.
Yeah.
Which was interesting.
Yeah, like the potato farmer or something like that.
The tomato farmer, yeah. And, so go see it. Don't spend a lot of money to go see it.
Yeah.
But it's worth seeing.
Yeah. My main gripe with the ending of it is that, considering what they used to get rid of Valak and how nicely sealed up everything was,
Yeah.
how did Valak come back? Because he wasn't fully, like, he didn't put, like, the full soul into, like, maybe it's like a fragment. It's like he turned Frenchie into a Horcrux or something.
Right, yeah.
But it felt like with the way they wrapped it up, and I actually did really like the end sequence for this. It's hard to stick the landing in horror for a good ending, and I think they did a pretty good job. It was the biggest MacGuffin of all time, because anytime you're literally bringing, we have a vial of the blood of Jesus Christ, that's a little bit, like, a little on the nose.
Yeah.
Like, if you would have said, this is the bones of a saint, or this is blah, blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah,
but
blah,
this was the actual...
Yeah, this was the blood of Christ. It's like, to the Catholic Church, they would have, like, that would be pretty valuable. That'd be like in a hidden vault somewhere.
Right, exactly.
Like,
and I guess it was hidden, but why would they keep it... I don't know. And you would think that such holy item would even just make everything around it holy?
Yeah.
I don't know if is that how that works? Probably not.
It was literally stored, like, in a room near where, like, the Valak portal was. So I don't think that it should have been. Like, that's what I kept feeling like. It's like, if that's the sort of thing that would make holy ground, like, it was just a little bit convenient that, like, 6 inches of stone will stop that holy relic from keeping the ground safe. What did you think of, like, the way the nuns were sort of spirits there? How empty everything felt?
It was very empty feeling. As soon as they got onto the property of the Abbey, it was a very unsettling feeling.
Yeah.
Because I think the audience knows that nobody's there anymore.
Yeah.
But
the first lady they talk to is just the shrouded, like,
you can tell that something's very not right with that. But the way that they portrayed all the different sisters that deep down we know are not there, was very real.
Yeah, I liked that. I liked the idea of their souls kind of occupying this place, like, in their own sort of purgatory. Yeah. And they helped her whenever that they could. But that, like, it was more just a side support thing. Like, you could tell that they were apparitions because they knew too much. They were like, you haven't taken your rights yet. You haven't done this. Like, they knew too much about what was going on. And I thought that they were unsettling in a good way.
Yes.
Like, in a, like, that they are good guys and everything. And, like, it's hard sometimes to make it so that you have, like, a good character that's the same as the bad character. I mean, it's called the Nun, and that could refer to the main character, or it could refer to Valak. And so whenever you've got that and you're kind of going off of stereotypes and you're trying to make these characters, like, you could end up making some awful ones and some good ones, and sometimes that's hard to navigate. And I feel like all of the actual nuns in this were pretty good. Yeah. Like, there was the one that was kind of mean to her at the beginning of the movie, but I could see that because I've only met a few nuns and they were kind of mad. They were kind of mean. Yeah, they're very stern people. Yeah. And I do gotta say, there not many horror movies do this. And of course, spoiler alert, there's spoilers all over this review, but nobody dies. Other than all the nuns that took place before, every character that you meet after the beginning sequence don't die. Yeah, like, I figured
that does not happen in horror movies.
I figured one of the three was going to. And it's like, the body counts have definitely gone up in movies. Like, whenever we watch the trailer for the new Halloween, they're like, 3 people died on Halloween. It's like, if you have a slasher movie where only 3 people die anymore, that's barely a slasher movie. It's like, you got to get, like, at least 12 different good kill shots in there.
Got to be psychopathic.
Yeah, like, you gotta up those numbers. So it was interesting that they actually made everybody survive. There was no full-on self-sacrifice at the end. there was sacrifice for the nun at the beginning of the movie, and I liked how they highlighted that. That was actually pretty interesting, because this entire movie is predicated on the fact that Frenchie found a nun that had killed herself at the Abbey, and that's why the Vatican was sending people over.
Right, because the Vatican knew about the area, obviously.
Yeah, they knew that something, like, they said they were cloistered in and unreachable, basically. So they had their eye on it for a little bit, but this was the final straw.
Yeah.
So it was interesting how they built all that up. I never had a problem with any of, like, the plot points there or the way the story progressed. I felt like everything there was adequate. There were just a few things, like we talked about, with, I don't know, Valak still being around afterwards seemed like a stretch.
Right,
But
and
there's
going
like,
after,
I don't know. It's just picking nits at this point, because it wasn't a great movie, but it wasn't a bad movie. Like,
No.
I've seen a lot worse. This is
Yeah.
just merely a C, is what it comes down to. It's just good. Just good enough to, like, get by and scratch a bunch of check boxes off of stuff I like to see. Just moody enough and pretty enough to make it above average as far as the looks.
Yeah.
And it's nothing.
And it's hollow.
Yeah, it's a little hollow there. Like, I think that's a good way to say it. Like, very good trappings, not near as much substance.
Yeah.
And I feel like with James Wan and everybody else that was involved in this project, they could have taken a little bit more time on the script, maybe added a few other things. But you never know with, like, the way these studios work, if they're able to get everything they wanted. But it'll be interesting to hear more about this production as it goes and see what they do with this cinematic universe. Like,
Do we know what the next one is going to be?
I don't know offhand. Like, I feel like that they're making too much money off of these to really drop it. Like, I know The Conjuring made more than $100 million, in profit alone. So
is it the same production as Insidious? Feels the same a little.
The production companies behind those are Blumhouse. Jason Wan was a producer on Insidious, but I don't think he might have actually directed the first one. Leigh Whannell wrote Insidious.
Okay.
Who also wrote the Saw movies. But he wasn't involved in The Nun. I was keeping an eye out, but James Wan definitely was.
Yeah, because it kind of feels the same. I don't know.
I didn't recognize
why that is.
Production companies at the beginning of this. Atomic Tentacle.
That doesn't
or
happen.
Atomic something. Like, it's rare. Like, usually that happens whenever you got people get really big and then they branch off. This was technically a New Line Cinema movie.
Yes.
So, like, there was a bigger company behind it that was pulling some strings, but New Line Cinema's actually been pretty good about letting their directors do the things that they want a good amount of the time. They did, like, they've done, like, indie horror from way back in the day, and then they've done The Lord of the Rings, so they're kind of all over the place.
Yeah, that does sound like all over the place. Anyways, let us know what you thought of the movie. It just came out not too long ago. Should be out on DVD soon. And go ahead and like and subscribe on these videos. We're putting them out every other week. If there's any ones that you would like to see, please let us know. And yeah, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/humanechoes. Yeah.
And like she said, tell us the movies that you want to see, and if we like it, we will try to do that. We're going to be doing movies like Bone Tomahawk and some other ones coming up.
we got a choice for Congo.
Yeah, we got a request for Congo.